Ladies and gentlemen, meet John. He's a 45-year-old tech executive making $250,000 a year. And his big question is, can I retire at 55? I don't want to wait till 65. I don't want to wait till I'm 60. I want to be done at 55. Can we make this happen? So let's figure it out. First off, John has got $600,000 in his 401k. He's got $200,000 in his brokerage account and $50,000 in his HSA. Plus, he's got 50 grand in cash sitting in a savings account. So what do you think? You think John can do it? I'm Casey Kraft, a financial advisor with Raymond James. On this channel, I provide practical strategies to help you build confidence with money, plan for retirement, and make financial decisions that give you independence and freedom in your life. If that sounds like something you're interested in, well, then you're in the right place. Let's go. All right, so we got John pulled up right here. Like I said, he's age 45, making $250,000 a year. He does have some expectations and concerns. Oh, and by the way, he's a Florida guy. You got to worry about those Florida guys, you know what I'm saying? He does have some expectations and concerns. He would like to maintain an active lifestyle. He'd like to have time to travel and less stress and peace of mind. But he's also got some concerns too. So not having a paycheck anymore, running out of money, suffering investment losses, spending too much money, and being bored. But I need to remind him, you're in Florida. There is a plethora of things to keep you occupied. He was like, yeah, you're right. Talking to John and the men in his family, they tend to live a long time, till about 90, 95. So we cut the difference and say, why don't we build out a plan where you're expected to live at least until age 92? He says, I think that's smart. Let's go for it. He doesn't plan on moving to another state during retirement. Here's the goals that John has. He would love to have an $8,000 a month budget, which equals 96 grand a year. He'd love to do one domestic trip every year. That's going to cost about $5,000. And he wants to do this every year. John's very self-aware and is thinking to himself, I'm probably not going to want to travel as much beyond age 85. So I'll do 30 years worth of travel. That'll fill my tank. I'm good to go. Let's just keep it at that. So we're going to plan until 85 to do this trip, and his international trip is actually the same too. Wants to do that every year for 30 years. He'd also like to spend $10,000 a year in charitable contributions. He'd also like to get a newer Tesla every 3 years for a total of 10 times. So over 30 years, getting 10 cars. And the cost of that is going to be $21,000 after trade-in. He already has a Tesla. So what's the cost of the Tesla going to be after trade-in? That's $21,000. And then over here in the wishes department, he would love to buy a $30,000 golf simulator when he retires. And my goodness, do I just love John. I love golf. I told him, look, if we're going to build a plan that's successful here, you are inviting me over for the golf simulator all the time. He's like, hey, if you can make this happen, sounds good to me. So the way that we categorize these things is the needs are the non-negotiables. So we definitely need to make sure that those living expenses are met. And we also need to make sure that his healthcare costs are covered too. Those are the non-negotiables with me. Beyond that, we categorize things with wants. This is the ideal retirement that I'd like to have. And then if we can swing it, if there's extra funds out there, I'd love for my wishes to be met as well. And it's important to note what we're doing here is instead of guessing what things are going to cost in the future, we put in what those things cost in today's dollars after tax, and then establish a base inflation rate that we agree on. In this example, it's 2.2%. That way, it's impossible to guess what things are going to cost in the future, but at least if we are adjusting for inflation, we have a little bit better of an idea of what things may cost in the future, which I think is a wiser approach when we're talking financial planning. John's Social Security benefits, the first year that he's eligible is $34,250 a year, which is about $2,855 a month. These are his current investment accounts that he has set up. He has a 401k, which he is currently putting in 8% of his paycheck into that, which is all pre-tax right now. And his employer is offering a dollar for dollar match, or 100%, for the first 3% of his contributions. He also has a brokerage account, and right now he is adding in $15,000 a year in annual addition. And then he also has a health savings account with $50,000 in there, and he's currently putting in $2,000 a year into that account. Now, let's take a look at the 401k for just a second, because it's important to know what his level of risk he's currently taking with his investments right now. So about 50% of his 401k is an investment grade, intermediate maturity, fixed income. And then he also has 50% in US large cap value. So it's not right or wrong, good or bad. We just need to know what we're working with to start. In his brokerage account, again, he's got $200,000 in there. 50% of it is in non-investment grade fixed income, 25% of it is in large cap growth, and 25% is in small cap equity. Now, the health savings account, John had no idea that he could be investing the funds inside of this. So unfortunately, it's all being held in cash right now, which isn't earning him much at all. So instead, I throw out the idea, hey, what if we invest some of those funds? And I didn't even know that was an option. So I said, all right, let's change it around a little bit. So we decided on, why don't we put 20% of it into investment grade intermediate maturity fixed income, and then we'll put 80% of it in a blend of large cap value and large cap growth. So we'll put 80% in US large cap blend. Now we talk about other assets that he has, and he currently has a 2025 BMW worth about 52 grand. He's got comic books worth 20 grand, probably why he's single. JK, don't at me. And then he's got a paid for home at 123 Florida Man Drive, currently worth about 625,000. And then he has savings, like I said, 50 grand sitting in cash savings right now. So he has a net worth of just under $1.6 million. So he's doing great. He's ahead of many Americans right now. Who cares if he can't meet the goals that he wants? So the big question we have to ask ourselves is, what I'm doing now, will this make it so that I can retire when I want? Let's take a look. If we run 1,000 trials of good markets, good timing, bad timing, we see if he stays on this trajectory, he's only got a 13% chance of success. So not ideal. Now, right out of the gate, there's a couple changes that I know will help increase his odds. One of those is, why don't we increase our health savings contribution? So instead of $2,000, we're going to max it out. For this year, it's going to be $4,300. So what I'm going to put together for John are 3 what-if scenarios, okay? So we know what your current plan looks like, but what if we do 1, 2, and 3 different things? Now, it's really important to note that John is very adamant about being done at age 55. He doesn't want to work any longer than that, and I get it. But it's worth me asking, look, if you got to work an extra year, an extra 2 years in order to hit your goals, will you be happy with that? And he says, I guess so, but I got to tell you, Casey, I really want to be done at age 55. So I really want to make that a big non-negotiable. So I asked him, look, what percentage, what chance of success would you be okay with in order to meet your goals? Are you happy with 50%? Do you need to be 99% certain that what your plan is gets you to where you want to be? Is it somewhere in the middle? And he says, look, if you can get me to an 80% probability of success, I'll be happy. Okay. Sounds good. Say less. So we're going to do a few different things here. I've got 3 what-if scenarios, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to compare them to his current scenario. So the first thing that I'm going to do is say, are you comfortable taking on a little bit more risk? He says, look, if you think that's what's going to help, I'm open to it. So why don't we change it from his current allocation and go to a growth model before retirement, but also after retirement or during. We're going to continue to be more on the growth side with our investments. So I'm going to change all that to all 3. And if I were to update this, we should get some better numbers. And look at that. Now we've gone up from a 15% chance of success to a 38% across the board. Now what I'm going to do is change a few things regarding his expenses. So right now he would love to live on $8,000 a month. And I said, I totally get that. Is there any way that maybe we can decrease our expenses? And he says, okay, what do you think? And I'm like, what if we just take 3 different scenarios where we're taking it in increments of $1,000 a month less? So instead of doing $8,000 a month, we're doing $7,000, which brings us down to $84,000. And instead of, in this scenario, we drop it down another $1,000 a month. So now we're at $6,000 every single month. And then we're going to take it down to the bare bones and make it $5,000 a month. So that's $60,000 a year. And then we calculate those scenarios. Now that we've cut our expenses quite a bit, you can see we go from 47% to 54% to 64%. So love to see that. So now you can see if we're cutting our expenses, we get much better chance of success. But now I'm going to change a few things. So instead of taking the Social Security at age 62, you know what, I'm going to keep this one as is. And I'm going to change this one over here to full retirement age, which is age 67. And then over here at age 70. And let's just see what those results look like. So now we're at 47% chance, 55%, and 65%. Right now, I'm going to take a look at his current contributions. And we can see here he's doing 8% pre-tax across the board in his 401k. I'm going to change it so that instead of 8%, we're maxing it out every year instead. And we're going to do that for all three. I'm going to keep this one as pre-tax. One I'm going to keep the same. The other two, I'm going to change it so he's making after-tax contributions. So let's see what happens when we go from 47%, 55%, and 65. Now we've jumped to 49%, 60%, and 70%. So if we just make a few changes here and there, we're definitely getting closer. One of the accounts that he currently does not have set up, but he absolutely should, in my opinion, is getting a Roth IRA open. Now, he makes too much money right now to contribute to a Roth IRA, so we got to do things a little bit differently for him. What we need to do is open up a traditional IRA. John makes a contribution, and then we immediately convert it to a Roth. That's called a backdoor Roth IRA strategy. Totally legit, totally legal to do. And this will provide some after-tax money that's growing. This is the third bucket here that we really like. So he's got tax-deferred money right now in his 401k. He's got taxable money in his brokerage account. Now we need to have that third bucket of after-tax money growing for him as well. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to add a Roth IRA to our plan. And we're going to max this puppy out every single year. And these additions will end when John retires. Then we're going to come down here. We're going to include it in the plan. Yes and yes. And let's calculate these scenarios again. We go from 49%, 60%, and 70% to 52%, 64%, and 72%. How about that? We're getting closer, ladies and gentlemen. We are getting closer. The promising thing about working with John is he's okay with decreasing his expenses. Now, we can lower his retirement goals if we want, but he realizes that he could probably cut back on spending. He's very aware and mindful that he spends a lot on dumb stuff. So he is very comfortable with reducing his living expenses, which allows him the freedom to retire when he wants. So a lot of times when it comes to planning is sacrificing a little bit now and maybe a little bit later on so that the greater good, the greater goals can be achieved. Now, since John is cutting back on his expenses right now, he's able to contribute more to his 401k. He can do the Roth IRA strategy now. Plus, he can contribute a little bit more to his brokerage account. So he's already putting in $15,000 a year right now, but he wants to up it by $10,000. So we're just going to add on an extra $10,000 to each of these what-if scenarios. And let's see where that gets us. And now we're at 56%, 67%, and 75%. At this point in the conversation, John says, look, I know that I told you I'd love to be at 80%, but after looking at this, I'm okay with being at 75% because I will probably be making more money over the next 10 years. Hopefully all of us are continuing to make a little bit more, but he feels very confident that he's going to get some pay raises and can afford to contribute some more. So right now, at the point in this planning process, totally fine with being at a 75% chance of success. And if he's happy with that, I'm happy with that. Some clients would prefer to be at 95%. Others are okay being at 60%. Everybody's a little bit different. All he's having to do now is just worry about his contributions. And that's all that I want from my clients is to put together a plan for them. So the only thing that you have to worry about is your contributions to what and how much. If it's increasing your 401ks, if it's opening up an IRA, if it's putting more into the brokerage account, whatever that is, that's all that I want you to worry about. And if that sounds like something that you would like to do, I'd love to help. I'd love to learn more about your story. I love working with clients of all diverse backgrounds located all throughout the country. So if you'd love to get together, there's a link in the description below. Click on that, book some time with me. I'd love to get to know you and see what your goals are and how we can make that happen. If you enjoyed this video, if you got a lot of value out of it, it would mean the world to me. If you liked it, subscribe to the channel. I'll continue putting out more content like this. And put a comment below. Does this sound like a good plan that would work for you? What would you change? What would you do differently? But again, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.